That's a clown question, bro.
Hi, what's up on you?
So I'm gonna kick some dirt.
He gets on base.
Just a bit outside.
I'm not the type of player that's going to be Johnny Hustle.
If you don't want me to watch the ball, you can go get it out of the ocean.
And welcome to the show to be named later, where we're talking baseball kind of whenever. It's, it's 9 a.m. here on a Thursday. So it is kind of whenever.
Yeah.
I'm your host, Chris Gianta. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Curran. How you doing, Daniel?
I'm doing pretty good, Chris. Still a lot of good baseball to be played. Not in Boston, unless you're looking at the game where they faced Jacob deGrom. But hey, we're climbing 2-4. The rest of the league's been pretty interesting, though.
But yeah, you don't see a lot of teams. I don't think there's any there's not a lot of 5-1 teams or 1-5 teams. So everyone's kind of getting their jabs in.
They're all clumped together, essentially.
Yeah. And yeah, so there's not necessarily any crazy surprises. Like there were some 1-4 teams yesterday that I was ready to not write off, but talk about, how they kind of surprised us yesterday. As of yesterday, both the Reds and the White Sox were 1-4, two teams that were highly talked about over the offseason.
Sleepers go, yeah.
Yeah. And, if they started out 1-5, especially in a 60-game season, that would have been a huge blow to them. However, both of them got the wins last night. And,
Same with the Mariners, too.
Yeah, and it's looking like
and the Red Sox.
It's been pretty competitive in the first 6 games.
Yeah. No, everyone's sticking right together. We got some news to talk about today. First of all, we record Sunday night. I wake up Monday morning. Marlins have gone rogue. There's a huge COVID outbreak in Miami. About 17 players and coaches as of this point have tested positive since
I believe so.
The beginning of this week. Nearly half the team. It had to be the Marlins, of course. Their season has been put on hold until Sunday. The Phillies are getting tested. They haven't gotten any positives yet. Then again, of course, it usually takes a couple weeks, so you could be seeing it soon. But the Marlins are the only team to have positive tests in the past week or so. So they obviously did something irresponsible outside of whatever bubble they're supposed to be staying in. And you got to hope they didn't infect the Phillies.
Yeah, the whole situation of them being literally the only team to get any new positives is pretty mind-blowing.
It's got to be the Marlins, of course.
Yeah, it has to be. I mean, this is the most damage they've done in the league since about
2003.
2003, yeah.
Yeah. So some people's lifetimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's tough. So, I mean, this is obviously really, really tough for the MLB. They spent all this time mandating how they were going to prevent the spread of COVID. It's 3 days into the season when this happens. What do you think extra precautions are going to be?
Well, I think they've announced some extra precautions. I think they mandated
they're going to have a hall monitor, right?
Yeah, no leaving the hotel at all except for, team activities. I don't know how that wasn't there before. Like in the NBA bubble, if you go and get Postmates, you're screwed. I don't know how they're letting people go out anywhere without some sort of security. I think that should have been there long before. Yeah, especially when you're you're a 30-team club with plenty of coaches and coaching staff. Yeah, you have to be extremely, extremely careful. It's not like a regular person. It's, you're part of a giant wheel that's trying to turn.
And you're in Florida.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, literally one of the worst places you could possibly be for COVID, and you're the ones that are going out and being irresponsible, assuming that's what it was. But it sounds a lot like it if they're the only team that's getting positive tests, and there's 17 of them.
Yeah, and not only Florida, Miami, Florida, where it's probably hit that's probably the hardest hit city in the past month or so.
It would be pretty easy to assume that, yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, the Marlins case, it's very weird. Yeah, it's very weird that they're the only new positives. That'll probably change at some point, but no changes yet. It's been about 3 days, and there hasn't been
Mhm.
any new positives from any other team. So
You have to
that's
wonder
definitely
like what the scheduling is going to be like now because there's a lot less time to make up these games. They're missing 7, I believe, or maybe 6, with the fact that their season's being put on hold for at least a week at this point. It could be more than that. So what's the league gonna do to reschedule all these Marlins games, assuming they don't play for like maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks at the most.
yeah. I mean, you're now if you're the MLB, you're kind of happy that it's a non-competitive
Non-contender,
team,
yeah. But they're also
although they
playing. They also could be playing contending teams. Like they were supposed to play the Phillies this week. That's a team that could contend. They very well could. I don't think it's a guarantee, but by no means are anyone saying like are they writing them off at the beginning of the year. They're playing the Nationals this weekend. It's the defending World Series champions. So I mean, you're gonna have to find ways to reschedule games for those teams too. So obviously, it is good that it happened to the Marlins, for the basis of it's a team that's not expected to go anywhere, but the teams that they're playing are. So that's a problem.
yeah, I imagine they'll probably do some. They might do like some like combined series later in the
Yeah,
season
like an
where
8-game series against the Nationals.
yeah, and they'll just do it all at the same stadium
Four,
because who,
yeah,
who really cares?
4 straight doubleheader. Yeah, I mean, I was to say Nate Pearson yesterday pitched as a home pitcher in Nationals Park,
Yeah.
because they just decided not to travel, which I can understand because the Blue Jays are still iffy on even if they have a home or not. They were going to play. They were cleared to play in Buffalo, it sounds like,
Hmm.
but maybe they're still working out a couple of kinks here and there if they're still playing home games in Washington.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, it's good for them. Like
It
they don't
definitely is
have to.
good. I mean, the less travel, the better.
Hmm.
So, also,
Yeah.
I thought so. One thing I thought was pretty funny yesterday. I was watching Nate Pearson's debut. He did pretty well, by the way. 5 hits, or no, 5 innings, 2 hits, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts. I believe it was. Did
Yes,
pretty
that's
well for
correct.
himself. Didn't and no earned runs too. So that's important. Still rocking a 0 ERA. But the game was played in Nationals Park with the Blue Jays being the home team against the Washington Nationals, and they were piping in the crowd noise for the Blue Jays on the Nationals home field, which I thought
That's
was pretty funny.
that's hilarious. That's
Yeah.
hilarious. Yeah,
Yep.
that was a duel. We
Mhm.
won't get too much into this, but yeah, Nate Pearson looked very good.
Against
Uh,
Max Scherzer.
Max Scherzer had a very good bounce back performance against an offense that's not an offense you roll over.
No.
That was a very good duel to
Mhm.
watch. Um, but yeah, anything more on the Marlins uh,
Yeah, I mean,
outbreak?
this obviously causes a lot of questions with the league. Like, I mean, what went wrong with the precautions? How is it going to affect? And I mean, if this happens again, like, when do we consider just shutting the whole thing down?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably going to be maybe one or two Phillies that test positive in the next
Yeah.
few weeks.
I mean, what if this happens like in the last week of the season to a contender? What happens if the Yankees see 10 positive tests in late September?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a situation that's a nightmare situation for the
Hmm.
MLB. And you're very happy right now that it was a non-competitive team, and you're
If anything, you don't want it
yeah
to be anyone, but if it has to be someone, let it be the Marlins.
yeah, and hopefully they're not too affected by it physically,
Yeah.
but that's the facts of the situation. Something happened that we are unaware of, and that's it. That's it for the Marlins.
Yeah.
Uh, some other news, some other unfortunate news. Speaking of people being
Physical health.
affected physically, Corey Kluber
Yeah.
is actually out for the year. No conflicting reports.
Was it for the year? I heard 4 weeks and they're gonna reevaluate.
Yeah, I saw 45-day IL, so I guess he'll be back for the last week of the season.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
But
Well, I
yeah,
mean, obviously. That's not what you want if you're the Rangers. You're lucky that you still didn't give up too much to get Corey Kluber, and you're lucky that you still have a few more years of control. When is Corey Kluber a free agent?
I think after this year.
Is it actually?
Yeah. I should take a look.
I'm looking it up right now. I mean, if that's the way if that's true, yeah, 2021 he's a free agent. Wow, so that could be it for Corey Kluber in a Rangers uniform.
How about that?
Yeah, they got one shutout inning out of him.
Yeah, they got .1 baseball wins above replacement.
There you go.
Baseball reference. Baseball wins above replacement.
Yep.
But yeah, a tear in the right shoulder for the Rangers. I mean, it definitely it makes me think about them differently in terms of their status in the AL West. I know you had them in 4th place, which probably will not change, but you know, I had them in 3rd place, and now they're looking more like a 4th place team.
Honestly, maybe the Mariners could overtake them at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I mean, the rotation does still have its depth. They still have their 2 major pieces from last year that
Lance Lynn has looked really good this season so far. He carved up the Diamondbacks yesterday. For the most part, I think the bullpen gave up some runs afterwards. Let me check. But I know it was 0-0 after pretty late in the game.
And I believe he only gave up he might have only given up 2 hard hit balls that entire game through his 6 innings pitched. And
he still has a 0.00 ERA. Through how many innings pitched this season?
6 innings.
I mean, he was my guy to watch on the Rangers, so I'm obviously happy about that. He was one of the. I think he was like one of the wins above replacement leaders last year. He has given up 3 hits over 12 innings and no earned runs, so he's been looking really impressive. Probably the best pitcher in the league so far, if you really want to dive into that.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I can't think of anyone else. I don't think Jack Flaherty has gotten his 2nd start yet.
It's tough because he's one of the only ones who's gotten 2 starts, and he's put up. Zach Plesac yesterday is actually the leader after his game yesterday, which looked really impressive. Lance Lynn is 2nd in the majors with .6 WAR. He's been looking really good. 12 innings pitched, a 0 ERA, a 1.73 FIP. Zach Plesac only pitched 8 innings and produced .7 WAR, so he's averaging about .1 win per inning, a little less. So that's really impressive.
Is this on Fangraphs?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense because Plesac, he struck out a lot of guys, didn't walk anybody, didn't give up any home runs. So that's going to make your FIP go crazy low.
Yeah, I mean, this is 0.00 ERA with a FIP of .32.
Yeah, so for those unaware, Fangraphs wins above replacement. It values fielding independent pitching more than it does ERA and ERA plus, which both of us take a little bit of issue with. But nonetheless, I mean, Zach Plesac was unbelievable last night. I didn't catch any of it, but I mean, it was a major surprise because he's not known as a strikeout guy. I know he had significantly less strikeouts than innings last year, which is, not as common as it used to be. And 11 strikeouts against a lineup. It's a powerful lineup, but I guess they can strike out. I mean, you got Edwin Encarnacion who strikes out a lot. I think Yasmani Grandal gets his share of strikeouts. Yohan Moncada
too
led the league in strikeouts in 2017, I believe.
17, 18, yeah.
Yeah, 2017 and 2018. So I guess, you can get your strikeouts against that team. And luckily for the White Sox, their pitching staff was really able to.
Yeah, Giolito bounced back.
Yeah, it was Giolito. Yeah, he was able to bounce back hard against that Indians lineup, and they were able to kind of steal that win after, Zach Plesac absolutely dominated.
Yeah, and Luis Robert hit a 2-run single that inning too. He's been looking really good. He's got a lot of hard hit balls already, Chris. One thing I'd like to note, Zach Plesac, if he can continue to do that, that's big trouble for the AL Central. because the Indians already have such a deep rotation where if you can have guys like Zach Plesac, who's probably their 5th best starter, putting up 12 strikeouts per 9, you got a problem.
Yeah, because in the preview, I said that I did not believe in Zach Plesac. I'm still pretty iffy on him. I just, I put a lot of weight especially for a guy who doesn't have much experience, I put a lot of weight in the baseball savant numbers, not just, the fastball velocity, the fastball spin. I'm looking at, how hard opponents are hitting the ball off of you. They were hitting it pretty hard off of him last year, despite his, pretty low ERA. But last night it definitely changed. And I mean,
game score of 87.
He wasn't just missing barrels. He was missing bats altogether. I mean, that's how you get 11 strikeouts.
Yeah, no, 8 innings pitched, 3 hits, no runs, no walks, 11 strikeouts.
I mean, that's as good as you can get, pretty much, right there.
Yeah, I mean, so Cleveland, you got obviously your Biebers and your Clevingers, who are Cy Young contender pitchers. You then have Carrasco, who bounced back in his start. That was obviously really cool to see because he's gone through a lot. And then you have Aaron Savale, who I think a lot of people look at as very underrated, and he proved to be that in his start. And then you have Plesac. So, I mean, the Indians have a really deep rotation to go along with an offense with guys like Jose Ramirez, who's been turning it back on, Lindor, Franmil Reyes, Domingo Santana, Jordan Luplow, Carlos Santana. I mean, there's plenty of guys in that Indians lineup that can do damage.
Yeah, I think the Indians, their success this season will be determined by their 3, 4, and 5 starters. I think Bieber and Clevinger, what you're getting from them. They should be, low 3s to high 2s ERA guys, striking out 10 guys per inning, 10 plus guys per inning. But, Aaron Savale was extremely good last year. You want him to maintain success. Carlos Carrasco took a step back. You want him to, keep it together like he has so far this season. And then, Zach Plesac, if he has games like that, I mean, I don't see why the Indians aren't right up there with the Twins. If they have a very good staff like that, one of the reasons I put them 3rd in the AL Central before the season, I didn't really believe in the depth of the rotation, but so far it's looking pretty good for them.
Yeah. So now we're gonna move on. Dodgers and Astros played this week, and you know what that means. There's a lot of animosity between those two teams. And the Joe Kelly Fight Club, as Chris has a shirt on right now, has been reinforced more than ever. He throws at Bregman on a 3-0 curveball. He throws at Correa. He strikes out Correa and then yells, "Nice pitch," or "nice swing," bad word, that starts with a B. And it walks off the mound. Absolute boss move. Then he gets handed an 8-game suspension, which 8 games is bananas to me. Why 8 games? That is so many in a 60-game season. And oh, by the way, when he actually hit Tyler Austin and physically fought him, like he threw punches at him, he got 6 games. Why is he getting 8? Why does Manfred care so much about that team that literally cheated to get a ring and completely robbed everyone? Like, why did he feel like the Astros got their just by getting their manager fired and getting their GM fired, and the players got absolutely nothing? They're completely off the hook. But whenever someone throws at them, oh, that's big trouble. We can't have that in our game.
Yeah, I mean, we discussed this in our famous roast of Rob Manfred back in studio in February, where
I lost my voice.
Yeah, where what I was saying basically was like, I understand if you can't punish the players with suspensions or fines because of their immunity granted by I think it was the Players Association. However, there has to be some punishing, and you kind of have to, you sort of as a league kind of have to turn a blind eye to whatever throwing at. I get if stuff is going directly at the head of guys. However, I don't know.
He
Like
threw
Joe
a
Kelly.
the only pitch that went at someone's head was a curveball.
So yeah, I mean I was watching the game live and I was like, I have no idea if that was on purpose or not because Joe Kelly, I mean,
Probably was.
Joe Kelly has some of the, for a major leaguer, has some of the worst control in baseball. I think we understand that. So
Yeah.
we don't really know if he's throwing at a guy or not. I mean, I remember with Tyler Austin, it was pretty clear. I think he had a little more control back then.
Yeah.
But last night or 2 nights ago,
Yeah.
I wasn't so sure about it. There's the one at Bregman was a fastball, but it was on 3-0 and it came after 3 pitches that were not at him. And then the Correa one was on a 87-mile-an-hour slider.
Yeah. No, you can't be doing that. It just
yeah,
doesn't make any sense to me why Rob Manfred cares more about the people who cheated to get a ring than the people who go at the people who cheated to get a ring. And also another thing, I've seen a lot of people saying, like especially Lance McCullers who spoke out against this, saying that Joe Kelly wasn't even on the 2017 Dodgers. What does he care if they cheated to get that ring? Joe Kelly was eliminated by the Astros in 2017. He was on that Red Sox team. And yes, he did later get revenge, but guess what? The Astros cheated Joe Kelly too, even if he wasn't on that Dodgers team, which I think a lot of people fail to understand.
The Astros cheated every single pitcher that they saw from the time that they used the garbage can. I mean, the guy who probably has most issue with the Astros was on the Blue Jays, Mike Bolsinger, who got sent down to the minors immediately after giving up 4 runs to the Astros in their home stadium.
Another one was Chris Medlin. I think his last career his last career outing was against the Astros as well.
Yeah, I mean it's like they didn't only cheat against the 2017 Dodgers.
Yeah. No, and even in the playoffs, like the Astros eliminated Joe Kelly from the playoffs in 2017.
Yeah, that's completely correct. And I mean, like people forget about that because everyone thinks about Yankees and Dodgers.
And the reason for that is because the Red Sox eventually got their revenge. Like if the Red Sox don't win the ALCS in 2018, we're now looking at the Red Sox being like, oh well, we should have won that American League Division Series. We should have faced the Yankees in the ALCS, and we should have gotten a chance to fight for a World Series. But no, you guys had to use your trash cans. The reason people aren't talking about that is because the Red Sox were able to salvage revenge in 2018.
Yeah, and if they lost that championship series in 2018, I think the anger is similar, especially if they lost it in the fashion that like the Yankees lost it, a very close, tight series where in 2017 they lost in 7 games. In 2019 they lost on a walk-off in Game 6. It would be a much bigger deal.
It certainly is, and it just doesn't make any sense to me why Joe Kelly gets 8. Like that's such an arbitrary. Like he's really like in a 60-game season, 8 games means a lot more than it does in a 162-game season.
Yeah, absolutely. It's frankly disgusting. It I know we're saying pretty obvious things, but like I just don't understand how a commissioner could just feel like, these guys, these are a protected class. We have to protect these people.
Also, another just to touch back on the whole like Joe Kelly didn't play for the Dodgers thing. Did you see do you remember how many teams and players were speaking out against the Astros in spring training this year? Like I remember Chris Bryant was speaking out. Why would he care? They didn't even face the Astros in 2017, I don't think, right? No, they didn't.
Yeah.
They did. They did not face the Astros once in 2017. Mike Trout, he didn't go to the playoffs in 2017. He was speaking out against the Astros. It's not just the Dodgers thing, and it's not just the Yankees thing either. The whole league, as a unit, is mad at the Astros for 2017, whether they were affected by their cheating directly or not. So obviously, Joe Kelly is a guy who's going to be upset, and if he's upset, he is proven to be the type of guy that will go at it with people.
Yeah, I think also, he's a guy on the Dodgers was probably going to do something, and I guess if there's a guy, you've got to
It's the
put
guy who
Joe
throws
Kelly
100.
in. Yeah, you got to put Joe Kelly in that situation. You can't put a crafty in that situation, throwing, I can't think of an example.
I would say Rich Hill, but he's not on the team anymore. That's like the
Yeah.
best Dodgers example I can think of.
Yeah,
I
don't
what
know.
you don't want to put in there? Bruce Gratterall is a guy you don't want to put in there. Like, he does throw 100 and he does have nasty stuff, but like, he's a rookie. He just started. He wasn't in the league in 2017. That's like the last guy you want to have out there.
Yeah, he was. He's like one of the only guys on the Dodgers that was definitely not affected in 2017.
Nope. Most people didn't even know who he was, and now he's got amazing stuff, and he's probably going to be locking it down for the Dodgers, and he could have been on the Red Sox.
Yeah, I mean, I guess technically we got a better prospect.
Yeah, I mean, for now, hopefully. That really good.
Yeah, I mean, I see all the stuff on Twitter about Brusdar being on the Dodgers, and like, if the roles were reversed, if Jeter Downs was like
was currently hitting like 330.
Yeah, the same stuff would be said about him.
Exactly.
Like,
I mean, obviously you have to wait and see with prospects. But right now, as of July 30th, 2020, the fact that the Red Sox didn't get Brusdar Gratterall looks tough.
Yeah. However, I don't think he would have made too much of a difference for this year.
No.
Least.
Well, I mean, the Red Sox could use any type of pitching, so maybe you do wish it right now.
Yeah, maybe you wish. I mean, I don't know. Would he have been starting? I'm not sure.
Probably not. He's been relieving for the Dodgers.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they'd try to do with him. Or actually, I was thinking of Darwinzon Hernandez, but he tested positive for COVID, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about, they could move him to starter, but no, that's not going to be a thing. But anything else we got on Joe Kelly?
That's about it. Joe Kelly's a hero.
So, yeah, Joe Kelly. This is a pro Joe Kelly show for the moment.
It always has been, and it always will be a pro Joe Kelly show.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Unless something weird happens. Unless he apologizes.
No, well, I mean, that'd be stupid. I don't think he will, though.
Yeah. But that moves on to our how about that's our edition of, if I have the volume right. Did you get that?
I did.
There we go. So for our edition of how about that, I only have one statistic, but I think Daniel is going to take the stage here with some players that definitely outshined the competition for this past week. What do you got, Daniel?
So I took a couple of guys on teams that we otherwise would not have mentioned because they're just not the highest quality teams. But I found some things that I thought were interesting. First of all, we're going to talk about Colin Moran, who is on the Pittsburgh Pirates. And I looked at his StatCast, and I found something really, really interesting. He's sort of flipping a script this year. So in 2019, Colin Moran hit 292 against fastballs, and he hit 230 against breaking balls. So obviously he's a fastball hitter. He's better on that type of pitching. So far this season, he has 6 hits, and 5 of them have been on breaking balls, which is pretty interesting. He's slugging 444 on fastballs and 1,500 on breaking balls. And if you look at his Savant page, he's pretty much top 15% percentile in pretty much everything. So Colin Moran, a guy that's been really flipping the script, as I said earlier, usually a fastball hitter was last year. Early on this year, he's gotten a lot better at hitting breaking balls. And he's also hitting 625 on breaking balls, too. Chris, do you have any thoughts on that?
Not much. Not much that Tom Hamilton cannot say through digitally. But yeah, Colin Moran, Pirates player, is that?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, Pirates player. Yeah, something to look for on the Pirates. I mean, you got Josh Bell and Brian Reynolds, but Colin Moran, do you know how old he is? He seems like he must be a younger guy.
He's definitely in his 20s. I'm guessing like late 20s maybe. He is 27 years old. Yeah, just as bad as I thought.
So a decently young guy to go in that
Also, he
lineup.
came over in the Garrett Cole trade too.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
At least they got something there.
As of now, he is leading the league in slugging percentage with an 800 slugging, with also as a 1164 OPS.
There we go.
Yeah, and he has 3 home runs.
3 home run. Yeah, that's quality. Colin
Yeah,
Moran adding some juice to the Pirates lineup. For my how about that, I only have one statistic. Mike Yastrzemski had an extremely good game last night. Led a walk-off home run for him, and led the Giants to a 7-6 victory. He had 3 hits and 2 home runs. The last San Francisco Giant to have 3+ hits and 2+ home runs in the first 6 games of the season was Barry Bonds in 2002.
Of course. I should have known. I should have known it was going to Barry Bonds in the early 2000s.
Yeah, 2002, extremely good season. You could say his best.
You could say that for like 3 other seasons too.
Correct. Yeah.
All right, so I have one more player. Chris, have you been looking at any of the leaderboards recently, like the OPS leaderboards, the weighted runs created plus leaderboards, any of that?
Mostly just wins above replacement. I haven't been.
That's totally okay. Outside of Miguel Rojas, there are 2 players in baseball with at least a 1,400 OPS. Can you name them?
1,400 OPS. Is David Fletcher one of them?
Nope.
I think he missed. He went 0 for 5 last night. Kind of.
One of them is pretty obvious, and one of them is my player.
Okay. Pretty obvious. Mike Trout.
What?
Mike Trout.
Mike Trout is not one of them. The one that's obvious hit a 480-foot home run last week.
Giancarlo Stanton.
Giancarlo Stanton is one of them. Do you want me to give you the other one?
Yes, please.
It is Jacoby Jones.
Jacoby Jones, Tigers.
Jacoby Jones of the Detroit Tigers has a 1,450 OPS this season, and that is obviously 3rd in the league. 2nd if you don't count Miguel Rojas, who's only played 3 games. And last night, as in Wednesday night, Wednesday night, he went 3 for 3 against Kansas City and also hit the go-ahead home run. And his OPS actually jumped from 1040 to 1450, and he qualifies. And he's on the qualifying list. So that is Jacoby Jones. That is my other player to watch from the Detroit Tigers.
There we go. That's an interesting. I had no idea about Jacoby Jones and what he was doing for the Tigers.
Yeah, I was hoping you didn't. It's hard for people to see that because he's on Detroit, and he was in the 9-hole last night too.
You don't expect that production out of the 9-hole. Unless maybe Miguel Rojas is on your team. He's been producing out of – I think he's hitting 8th or 9th. I'm not sure. But
yeah, something like that.
Who knows the next time he's hitting, though. However, but yeah, that was our latest edition of How About That, where we highlight some players, mostly some unsung players from the past week. We're going to be doing this. We're going to be doing How About That every, Thursday/Friday episode.
Midweek show.
Every midweek show, we'll be doing that. And then I think next week we'll incorporate slightly alarming statistics.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the first week it would be hard to kind of include anything. But I think next week we'll start doing that, where we'll do some bad stats on some guys who have been on the struggle bus lately. But that's it for How About That. Now we're looking at some players and teams, some matchups to look for in the next weekend of baseball. I mean, the middle of the week is kind of wrapping up. I think tonight we have a 4-game 4-game series starting, a 4-game weekend series starting with the Dodgers and Diamondbacks, but most of this weekend series are starting on Friday. So do you have what players and team matchups are you looking at?
So I'm looking at one particular team matchup this week, and it is a 4-game set that starts tonight. The Indians visiting Minnesota.
Right.
Facing the Twins, probably arguably the best 2 teams in the AL Central. The Indians were my AL Central champs. You had the Twins. So it'll be that kind of matchup. Tonight, we got Shane Bieber versus Jose Barrios. We obviously just talked about the Indians' rotation. The Twins have not announced any starters outside of Barrios at this time. But the Indians have Clevenger, Carrasco, and then Savale going through the rest of the series. So I'm going to be interested in that. We got what do we got for interleague? We got Reds, Tigers again.
Oh boy.
We got Phillies and Blue Jays. So that'll be cool. Ooh, you know what I want to see this weekend?
What
if this matchup is happening, hold on. How many games do the Phillies and Blue Jays play? Oh, okay. Saturday, I want to see Zach Wheeler versus Bo Bichette.
Oh, that's a good matchup.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zach Wheeler, pretty much all the righties in that lineup, even like Vladdy Jr., but Bo Bichette has kind of made some noise as of late.
Yep.
But yeah, my player to look for is actually in your series to look for.
Okay.
So it is a pitcher. I'm just looking at the matchup. Pitcher versus batters. Mike Clevenger on, I believe, Friday. So Mike, the Minnesota Twins, known for their offense last year, I think they set the single season record for home runs by a team.
They sure did.
However, Mike Clevenger against the Twins last year had a 2.39 ERA against them in about 5 starts. So you should look to see if he can maintain that success and steal a win for the Indians. I think that'll be a good matchup.
Certainly. And we got Red Sox Yankees this weekend. That's always a classic, of course. Probably not going to be as high. The Red Sox actually just announced their starters. They got Martin Perez finishing off the series against the Mets tonight. And then they got Ryan Weber, Zach Godley, and TBD going. So should be exciting if you're a Red Sox fan who loves some good pitching.
Yeah, I mean, who knew that? I mean, 2018 was not very far away. I mean, I remember back in the day when Chris Sale could strike out every single Yankee, and David Price was okay against them at Fenway, and
okay at best, yeah.
Okay, and Eovaldi was pretty good against them, and
Stephen Wright used to carve them up back in the day.
Yeah, I remember those days back in 2018.
Back in my day.
But those days are long gone.
Yeah. Now we got to worry about if we have enough pitching to survive a 60-game season.
Yeah, that's very true. But
I have one last thought before we wrap up here. Do you have anything else as far as matchups go?
No, not really.
Okay, so Jose Reyes officially announced his retirement from Major League Baseball yesterday. One of the great Mets of all time, 5th in wins above replacement for position players on the Mets with 27.9. He was also the Mets' all-time stolen base leader with 408. No one else had more than 281. So he was far and away the best base stealer in Mets history. And one little nugget I had, in 2011, Jose Reyes is the only player to produce a season since 1986 with 15 triples, 35 stolen bases, and a 140 OPS plus. He was electric that season. He was pretty much a 5-tool player doing it all. And he will be missed for the Mets. I know he had some off-the-field issues here and there around mid-decade a few years ago. But I don't think, not a Hall of Famer, but certainly a Mets Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he was growing up, learning about the game of baseball. I remember in 2007 he had 70 stolen bases.
Yep.
It was pretty wild. So I kind of learned about him a little bit growing up, watching some baseball. And yeah.
Wow, he had 78 stolen bases in 2007.
Yeah, he had 78 stolen bases in 2007. So I heard
awesome.
about him pretty early in my sports fandom. But yeah, he was, it's funny you bring up that 2011 season because, yeah, he definitely earned every bit of that $106 million contract in Miami. Yep. I mean, yeah, I think part of his legacy, unfortunately, will be one of the faces of that just failure to rebrand as the Miami Marlins. But I don't, his Mets
I mean, there's plenty of faces there.
Yeah, his Mets legacy shall live on. Yeah, he had a very good career in Queens. But yeah, I think that leads us to the conclusion of our episode. Little midweek check-in.
Jose Reyes is the only NL player since 2000 to steal at least 75 bases in a season. Actually, he's the only player, period, to do it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, let me see how far I can go on this.
That's pretty great.
90s are probably going to have more. Yeah, Kenny Lofton at 75, Marquise Grissom at 78, Marquise Grissom also at 76, Vince Coleman at 77. Yeah, I mean, Jose Reyes is probably the best base stealer of our generation, of that generation, you could argue.
Yeah, and that's probably you're not going to see a lot more 70s stolen base seasons. I mean,
no.
Ellsbury did it in 2009.
Yep. 517 career stolen bases.
Yeah, that's
pretty good.
That's pretty wild. Just beating out Barry Bonds. Just barely.
Yeah.
But yeah, that leads us to the conclusion of the episode for our midweek check-in.
Mm-hmm.
We will be so if you enjoyed the episode, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and you want to watch us talk on YouTube, go to our YouTube channel. It is called STBNL with Chris Gianta and Daniel Curran. If you want to follow us on Twitter, follow me at Chris_Gianta. Follow Daniel at Daniel_Curran. And follow our Instagram. The Instagram is called STBNL Podcast. And we hope you enjoyed our little midweek check-in on the week of on the past half week of baseball, and we look forward to.
We would like to thank Baseball Reference and Fangraphs for their contributions as always. Just had to add that in there.
As always, correct. Mm-hmm. And we hope to see you on Monday after we've recapped the weekend in baseball and preview the week ahead. See you next time.